Being human. All right, Sterling, I have a survey called Being Human. It has 12 questions. I ask every guest the exact same questions. And so you can answer in short form, as long as short as you care to. Oops. All right. Are you ready to go?
Ready to go.
Okay. Oh, hang on. Gotta grab it here. Okay, Sterling, what don't you understand about people?
Why people choose to hurt other people.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how in control of your life do you feel?
7.5.
Funny because I get that almost every time I ask it. So what makes you come to that number?
Um, because there's luck in everything, I think. I think there's a little bit of luck in everything. And so I don't think you can ever be 10 out of 10 in control of your life. I don't feel like I'm 10 out of 10 in control of my life, but I also feel like I have a pretty good firm grasp. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing next. I know what I'm doing after that. Um, there's just the finer details have to be worked out as they happen. And so I guess 7.5 is a comfortable number. I don't feel like I'm quite at an 8, but I feel like seven's too low. So
Okay.
I thought
How
it's actually funny you say that everyone says that because I thought I would be the first to use a decimal, but I guess not.
No, that seems to be the number everybody lands on. Do you trust yourself, Sterling?
Mostly, mostly. Usually I feel pretty firmly like I can trust myself, but occasionally I do something and look back and ask, why did I do that? So I guess it's not all the way.
I think you have pretty good instincts, Sterling. I think out of anyone, you should trust yourself. People should know, your family has a business, right? You come from a lineage of business people. Like your granddad started a chemical business, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And your dad kind of took over that business, and you could too if you wanted, but you decided to kind of pave your or carve your own path in life. Is this the result of you kind of trusting in inward ability that only you can understand?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't describe it like that. I would just say that I looked for things I was interested in and kept doing more of them. And it's taken me down this particular path, which I find very interesting, and which apparently I'm somewhat good at. So I don't know if I don't know if I would phrase it as sort of having sort of an inner core of knowing which path I want to take, but just following what seems interesting. I mean, that's how I ended up in debating. This seems interesting. I'll do this, and it worked.
So you're trusting your instincts along the way. So why are so many people their own worst enemy? They're standing in their own way.
I think people. I think there's two things. I think that people fear the unknown, and people fear doing things they haven't done before. And I also think that people sometimes struggle to forgive themselves. And so they feel guilt, and that guilt prevents them from healing and from going down the path that would be right for them.
What gives you hope about the future?
These are
I,
very tough. You ask everyone these questions, Coach Tamer. These are you're really digging into our psyches here. I think this
well,
is
I'm planning on doing a collage later, and I might actually do it in VR in the world and create a space where we can see these questions and then look at the mosaic or collage of answers to get a sense of what it means to be a human being. So I'm just, yeah, I'm asking the tough human questions. What gives you hope about your own future or maybe the future of the world?
what gives me hope is knowing that our forefathers and foremothers had challenges and they got through them, and their foremothers and their forefathers had challenges and they got through them, and their ancestors had challenges and they got through them. I've had challenges and I've got through them. Everything seems to usually things in the long enough term, things seem to turn out all right in the end. And I don't see why this time would be any different.
I agree. I like that attitude. What's one thing that needs to happen for this world to be a better place?
Oh my goodness. We need to human beings need to be worse at turning off their minds and turning off their emotions when they see suffering on around them. And people need to feel more motivated to do something to help them, the people in need, rather than avoid looking and avoid thinking about it.
But what happens if we're over inundated? Like the news cycle has become 24/7, and if we see nothing but pain and suffering, isn't it kind of a bit of like overload? Don't we shut off just naturally because we can't bear it all?
I mean, maybe that's the charitable way of putting it. But I mean, if you walk down the street and you see someone panhandling or someone in distress on the side of the road, I mean, I don't know if that's an overwhelming. I don't think that people walk by without doing anything because they're overwhelmed. I think it's just easier to walk by rather than doing anything about it and then trying to erase the memories. You don't have to think about it later. And I mean, I'm as guilty about this as anything. But I imagine if we didn't do that, if we actually felt motivated to do something when we see people in need, I think the world would be a much better place.
What can you do to make your life more meaningful?
I could stop turning off my brain and heart when I see people in need and start doing things to help them.
Wow. I think perhaps we're uncovering something here. Do you believe in karma, or that somehow you're
No,
paying off the karma in this lifetime?
no, not at all. Karma is very bad. Karma is a very harmful ideology because it means that, I mean, people like karma because it means if you do good things will happen to you. But it also means if you do bad things will happen to you. So if anything bad happens to someone, that means they deserved it because it means they must have done something bad in the past. And so it can be used to, it's a victim blaming ideology, and it's harmful, and we shouldn't believe in it.
Interesting. We have a very strong position on that. How do you want people to remember you after you're gone?
Someone who tried hard and put his best efforts into what he did, but also who someone who had time for fun at the same time.
What advice would you give to the very young Sterling?
Everything's going to be all right.
It gets better. I get pictures of you being bullied in the schoolyard. Were you bullied in the schoolyard?
I not I mean not harshly. I wasn't a victim of serious bullying or anything like that, but I did feel alone at times. There were difficult moments for sure, but I'm sure other
It's
people had it
interesting
worse.
that you bring that up, but when you say you feel alone, but you're very social, you're very like talkative. It's like, did you find that you, because I know you, and I know you in contrast to other students, and you're an exceptional person. Like, did you feel kind of alone at the top? Is that reasonable to say when you were a kid?
No, I wasn't at the top when I was a kid. I don't think that came a
But
little
I don't
later.
care. I don't mean
Um,
I don't mean it like that. I just mean, did you know that you were different than the other kids when you were small and it kind of felt
I
isolated?
don't. I don't think. No, I don't think so. I don't think that I was. I was. I had. I was with very strong students, especially in elementary school. I was in a. I mean, just the class I was in. I wouldn't be surprised if everyone became a significant figure in their life. I was around really fantastic people. So I didn't have. It's insofar as I had struggles, I think they were different than that. I didn't feel like I was somehow isolated at the top of the totem pole or anything.
What happens to us when we die?
We meet our maker.
So you do believe in a maker. You believe that in a creator.
I do, yes.
Do you believe that the creator we made in our image, or that or the creator made us in their image?
The latter, made in their image. We were made in their image.
So does that mean that we're in inherently good and all of us are
Um,
creators?
I think there's good in everyone. Yeah, I do. I think that, I mean, you should remember this. You remember because we were back at the start of today's session. We met at Pickering College, which was once upon a time a Quaker school, and that's the phrase that the Quakers hold on to, that there is that of God in everyone. There is goodness in everyone, and that's one of the messages that I think resonated from that institution.
I believe in that too, but I also believe the converse is also true, that it's the yin and the yang. I believe that there is something evil in all of us as well. And it's just a matter of it being drawn
Potential
out.
for evil. Potential for evil. It's not. I don't think that there's the potential for evil in everyone, but I don't think everyone is evil. If that makes sense.
Who has been a huge inspiration in your life and why? Don't say me. I'm not fishing for compliments here.
Ah, well, then I'll go to the next one on my list. A huge inspiration for me in my life, and I mean, just I guess my parents. I guess that's like after saying you, that's the next most cliche thing to say. But I owe just a tremendous amount to my parents, who are both quite different, but who instilled very useful and important values in my life, and also showed me. I mean, I wouldn't be who I was. I mean, something as simple. I was telling a friend about this recently. Something as simple as my mother used to read to me when I was a child before bed every night, and she wouldn't read, picture books. She was reading advanced, interesting stories, and if it wasn't for that, I probably would have been, a few, I wouldn't have been as interested or advanced in my reading as I was. Or my dad was always willing to, talk to me as an adult and to listen to the ideas I had about the world and tell me why all my ideas were wrong and why his ideas were right. And we